Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. We're heading into week 14, and we have we're on track for the final for the playoff race. So we have a couple more games to be played, but let's get into the hot phase. Smokey, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm better than Colts fans right now because you guys tried, but you got blown out on prime time at that.
It was bad.
I know the Falcons lost this week, but at least there was somewhat of a fight put up. But you guys were on an island game in front of the entire world and got stomped.
It was bad.
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Colts at this point in time.
They have to come up with something in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe another quarterback. Let's try that again.
Oh yeah, just keep cycling, right?
Yeah.
Always a good idea.
I'm telling you, maybe Derek Carr next year.
I don't know
that
on the back half of his career for sure.
Yeah, but the Raiders are starting to pick it up now, so I'm sure that will secure Carr for another
They are,
season.
yeah, probably, yeah. So I'll have to ask, do I have a feeling that it's not good for me? How are our predictions looking?
Well, overall, we did great. This was probably our best season, or our best game of or best week of the season. I can't even get out my words today, but we disagreed on 5, and I took 3 of those, and then we had the tie, of course. I had the Steelers, you had the Falcons. I had the Lions, you had the Jaguars. Ooh, that was another stomp out right there. Giants Commanders, of course. I had the Dolphins, you had the 49ers, you won that one. And I had the Raiders, you had the Chargers. So, 13 for me, 13 and a half, and 11 and a half for you. So our total, since we've had 2 ties this year, I'm giving us that 1 point finally. That makes a full point. 124 on the season plus 1, 125. For you, 120 on the season plus 1, 121.
So you're ahead by 4 points now?
Yes.
That's not good. And I only have, 4 weeks left? 5 weeks? Okay, so I really have to... I gotta pick it up here.
Absolutely.
Man, these teams keep letting me down, too. Like, I'm done picking the Falcons, I'm telling you.
Me too.
They're
I agree
on a
with
bye
you.
this week anyway. We don't have that many games. We have 6 teams on bye, so not that many games. But we'll get into it. So the Raiders at the Rams on Thursday night. Baker Mayfield on the Rams, by the way.
Oh yeah. Did you want to run down your MVP?
Oh, my MVPs. Good point. Yeah, I completely forgot about that segment. A lot of shakeup actually. And here's the thing. This is the closest MVP race I've ever seen. Officially, it's after week 13. There are 5 people in the mix who can realistically win it. I had it down to 3. I had it down to Allen, Mahomes, Tua. Allen played bad for a bit last week. Mahomes had a bad game. Tua had a bad game, and exactly in that time, number 3 and 4 had great games. Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. Those are the top 5.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to not even give a ranking. I'll just say those 5, any of them, they're all about equal. If I had to give a ranking, and this is like the smallest of margins, right? I'm gonna go Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, Tua, Hurts. That's my ranking. No difference between any of them. They can all win it. Tua still the best performer overall. Had 1 bad game, but the 2 games that he missed definitely speak against him. Mahomes has kind of been inconsistent, but when he's playing at the top of his game, he's one of the best. Like, he might be the best. Same could be said about Josh Allen. Joe Burrow had a weak start, but he's really been getting back now. The Bengals have beaten Chiefs for the 3rd time in a row at Burrow. Mahomes is turning into a big rivalry apparently, and Burrow's really coming back. He's now top 5 in passer rating, touchdown to interception ratio. Suddenly he's storming back into the race. All 5 of those have a realistic chance. With 5 more games to play, they can all win it. But yeah, it's crazy that it's still so exciting. Like, I can't remember being in a week 14 and still having 5 legitimate candidates.
It's amazing how much can change in 1 week, because it was just last week I was proclaiming that this is down to 3 people and there's no way these other guys are going to get back in it unless something crazy happened. But something crazy happened. You had the top 3 play some of the worst games of the season. Mahomes wasn't as bad as the other 2, and Tua probably the worst out of that, but Hurts put up a phenomenal game, and it wasn't just running the ball. He was a pocket passer in this game and made it happen. He looked great. Let's see if he can keep that up. And of course, Burrow did what he did against Mahomes on the other side. Burrow outclassed Mahomes in that game. So therefore, their names are right back in there. I think it's almost a dead heat for all 5 of them at this point. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future.
It's certainly going to be exciting. And a lot of those guys are playing this week. So let's pick it up again. A game where there's definitely no MVP candidate whatsoever. The Raiders and the Rams.
Yeah, and at some point we got to look up Devontae Adams' standings.
Yeah, and
also,
the season.
We kind of dropped that. Yeah.
See if the top 3.
I don't think it really makes a difference if Baker is headed over to LA. I mean, he's not going to know the offense right up front, and he wasn't playing great at all. He hasn't played great in the past 2.5 seasons. This is not going to change the course of this team. I really don't know why they made this move. On the other hand, the Raiders have a little bit of momentum. Ever since Derek Carr cried on the podium, the team gathered around him and said, hey, we're going to win a few games. Don't cry. It'll be all right. And here they are. The Rams are so bad that I have to pick the Raiders on the road.
This is tough, man. I'm going to agree with you. First of all, I'm going to pick the Raiders. I think they have just a better momentum at this point. The Rams seem to have given up completely. The reason, obviously, you make this waiver claim is because a character like Baker Mayfield belongs in a town like LA, and nothing will go wrong with that at all. It is quite literally the perfect fit. But yeah, I agree with you on this one. I'm going to take the Raiders. I don't know, man. They've looked good. They're not going to make the playoffs, sure, hope not, but maybe they're back in the battle for the 8-1 that I predicted them to be at the start of the season. So we'll see if they can pull that off. Beating LA at LA would be a good step. This is, by the way, playing back-to-back LA teams, so not too far to travel there. Jets at the Bills.
Yeah. The Jets actually looked okay in their showing against the Vikings. Mike White blew it there at the end. But that was a really hard-fought game, and I guess you should be proud of yourself, being the Jets, considering the previous seasons, holding up against a team that is now 10-2 the way they did, so there's nothing to hang your head about. The Bills, on the other hand, their defense showed up and put it to the Patriots and just outclassed them, as a matter of fact, whereas the offense was okay. They didn't do anything spectacular, but Josh Allen is Josh Allen. So he's going to do Josh Allen things in the end, and that team is just a little too strong for the Jets. I'll take the Bills at home.
I will once again agree with you on that one, too. Gonna go with the Bills. Josh Allen's kind of been catching a little bit of speed again. I think he had the best game of the 3 sort of MVP frontrunners last week, but then of course Burrow and Hurts both had better games than him even. And the Bills seem to kind of be catching themselves. Now, one thing that needs to be said is in terms of the Chiefs, and maybe this is more of an MVP debate, but I just noticed that Mahomes actually lost to Burrow and to Josh Allen head to head. So maybe that'll count at the end of the day when we get there. But for this one, yeah, Mike White's probably going to continue starting. This is going to be a lot of problems in the offseason for the Jets, I think. But for now, they are in the playoff race, and they're going to go with what works. But Buffalo should win this one. Not let... by the way, if they lose, like Buffalo lost this one, the division is totally open again. For the
absolutely.
Jets. Like, it usually was up to the Bills and the Dolphins. The Jets could be in it if they beat Buffalo. So it's a critical game for them. But I'll say the Bills hang on. Browns at the Bengals.
Yeah, another division matchup.
There's a lot of those today.
Yeah, exactly. The Browns, Deshaun Watson looked bad. He looked extremely rusty. There were a few flashes that I saw where he looked like Deshaun Watson, but overall it wasn't great. However, they didn't need it. This team came together and won, especially that defense. That defense had 2 touchdowns. That was amazing. Was it 2 or 3?
A defensive one and a special teams one.
Yeah, that's it. But the Bengals played phenomenal too, considering, it was against the Chiefs and they pulled it out there at the end. This is I don't know. I can't say it's tough. I got to go with the Bengals. But if Deshaun Watson actually comes to Deshaun Watson form, he could actually make a game out of this. I mean, the Bengals aren't unbeatable, but they are on fire right at the moment, so I have to stick with the Bengals at home.
Yeah, I think here's why a lot of people don't really realize why Watson played so badly is if you're suspended for 13 games, it's not just that you're not playing, you're also not really practicing. Because you have, like, other guys that have to start, so they're going to run with the first string. You're not going to be practicing and preparing for games like a starting quarterback. So, yeah, you're definitely going to be rusty. And that's going to probably... I don't think that he's going to really catch his form this season. I think that's pretty much a lost season for him. If they do decide to commit to him long-term in the offseason, I think they'll have to pay him. Then next season... you might be looking at something. When he had a full off season with the team as a starting quarterback and job safety and the ability to prepare, then we'll be looking at something else. But the Bengals are catching fire right now. They're red hot. The Ravens are struggling in this division, so even more so, the Bengals will smell blood, and I think they're going to win. I have no indication to believe that the Browns will be able to stop them at Cincinnati, no less. The Texans at the Cowboys.
This is not a contest here. Like, this is ridiculous. This is going to be an epic beatdown. The Cowboys are putting up 50 points a game. They are not taking their foot off the gas. Pollard and Zeke are out there just gashing defenses. And guess what? The Texans don't have much of a defense. They actually have really good numbers against opposing quarterbacks. But I think that's more a symptom of you don't really need your quarterback to do wonderful things to beat the Texans. Your run game can just run all over the Texans. And that's how they're getting it done. The Cowboys are going to use their run game. They may not even need CeeDee Lamb in this one. They're going to win by a landslide at home.
Man, this seems like the perfect upset game to pick. But I'd be crazy to pick it, though. But yes. If you do pick it and you're right... That also makes you like a god, right? Because it feels like this should be the one, right? It's the Texas Bowl. That the Cowboys think they're the best. The Texans think they're the worst. This does have upset written all over it, but realistically, absolutely not. By the way, I'm picking the Cowboys, but can you guess the spread? I'll give you a tip. It's the biggest one this season.
I bet it is. It's got to be at least 17.
It's points. Exactly 17 points.
Yeah.
That is 3 scores. That does not happen in professional football.
I know. That's a college number.
That is like Alabama, Southern Illinois.
Tulane. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, yeah, taking Dallas. Vikings at the Lions.
Oh, man, this is actually tough right here because the Vikings are winning, and they've won a lot this season, and they've beat some really good teams, but for some reason, when you watch them play, you don't see world beaters. You're not seeing an offense like the Eagles have, like the Chiefs had, like the Bengals have, but somehow they always win. It's pretty phenomenal. I mean, they have some phenomenal offensive players. They still have Dalvin Cook. They got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. They got all they need. But on the other side, the Lions are actually starting to catch fire. As weird as that sounds, the Lions are playing phenomenal too. It's amazing. They're putting one over on teams that you thought they would have had no chance. Like the Jaguars. I think you even picked them last week because it looked like the Jaguars should have won that game. And this is at home just like last week. With the Lions putting up 40 points, this is going to be a real game. I think the Vikings have to drop one at some time because of the way they're playing. I'm going with the Lions in the upset.
Oh wow! I was thinking about going Lions if you didn't.
Oh, really?
I was considering because I have to go take risks, right, to make up the points. So I was actually thinking about doing it, but now I'm not gonna. I'm going Vikings. But I follow your argumentation like wholeheartedly, and I totally agree that this is like up in the air. This is by no means. This is a trap game for Minnesota. For sure.
Absolutely.
And this has realistic potential, maybe other than Houston and Dallas. This has realistic potential to be an upset, so I don't mind that Detroit pick at all, but now I have to go Minnesota to disagree with you anyway. Eagles at the Giants.
Yeah, man, what if the Lions actually win out? If they win out, they're making the playoffs. That would be crazy after the start to the season.
Likely, well.
Yeah. Oh, man. Eagles and Giants. The Eagles are on fire. Like I said, Hurts won that game with his arm. He didn't have to run in this one. They have the running backs if they need them. The Giants had a hard-fought game. That was tooth and nail right to the end of overtime, and they just couldn't decide a winner. I think it's just a symptom of that division, because even when teams are playing each other, we're not going to get a loss out of it. So that division just continues to be phenomenal. However, this is probably not going to be a tie again. I mean, odds would be completely against that. But I think it's going to be closer than anyone expects it to be. I think the Giants actually, the more healthier they get, the better this team is. We saw a lull in the middle of the season because they had so many players out. But this is actually a decent team. I just wish they had some superstar receivers out there to complement it, and this team would be winning a lot. I guess I still have to stick with the Eagles, though. It's hard to bet against the Eagles in a game like this, but I think the Giants are going to make it close.
These are two very good running teams with quarterbacks that can run, but I think you made the exact right point. What really is the difference between the Eagles, who are a real contender, and the Giants, who are a good team but not a real contender, is the passing game, like the receiving threats. AJ Brown's been a monster the past few weeks. He's been dominating. So the Eagles have the weapons, the high caliber weapons in terms of passing game. Giants do not, as you notice day in, day out, every single week. Giants can't stick with the Eagles in that department. And I think this has a potential to be a high scoring game, and it's going to be a close one because it's a divisional game. I think that's going to make the difference. So I agree with you, and I'm going to say the Eagles take it. Ravens at the Steelers.
It looks like Taylor Huntley is going to be starting here, which I don't think, with the way Lamar has played this season, he has not been up to Lamar form. Taylor Huntley is not that big of a step down. Taylor Huntley can win games. We saw him do it last season. The Steelers are not a tough obstacle to get over, even though the Falcons made them look like world beaters, and I think there were more Steelers fans in Atlanta last week than there were Falcons fans at that game. But that's bandwagon. That's how it happens in Atlanta. But Steelers, they always have fans. They always show up. It makes this tough, though. This is a division game. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to come down to the wire. Probably a last minute or so score is going to win this game. I think I will go with the unlikelihood that Taylor just continues the win streak that he had last season and starting last week when he took over. But I'll go with the Steelers. I think they may get some momentum here.
This is another one of those where I pick against you. This one I wanted to pick the Steelers. I hope you go Ravens, because honestly, Steelers have convinced me more over the past couple weeks than the Ravens have. And now with Lamar Jackson out, you said Lamar Jackson hasn't been playing particularly well. Yeah. Maybe the Ravens need this breath of fresh air, but the Steelers are kind of catching fire a little bit. This is a pick'em, by the way. The odds makers agree, and so do I, which means that I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to say Tyler Huntley actually delivers that breath of fresh air that puts the Ravens back on track to compete, because this is a must-win game for Baltimore. Let's not forget, this is a, on paper, inferior opponent. The Bengals are red hot, also playing an inferior opponent, and they just beat the Chiefs, and you barely snuck by, like a 10-9 game. So Must win, must right the ship for Baltimore. I say they get it done at Pittsburgh. Jaguars at the Titans.
Yeah, both these teams took tough losses last week. They were victims of circumstance here, especially with A.J. Brown. You mentioned him. He lit the Titans up. I think that was a clear revenge game. I know a lot of people say, that stuff doesn't really exist. It's just narrative that the media likes to portray. I think that was a real revenge game. I think they planned for A.J. Brown to win this game. Like, they put it on his back and said, hey, go out there and beat them since they dropped you, last year. Traded you, however that went down. Jaguars, on the other hand, Trevor Lawrence looked like he was injured at some point, but he came back in the game. So I don't know what his status is right now. I'm assuming he's healthy and he's going to play this game, which will make it closer. It is a division game. But I guess I'll go with the home team here. I mean, I'm sure Vegas favors the Titans anyway with their record. Although the Titans don't look good, especially last week. But I'll stay with the Titans at home.
This game is close to a pick'em. Titans are getting their 3 points at home, but the odds makers don't trust them, and neither do I. But the question is, trust Jacksonville more? Not really. I don't know about Trevor Lawrence's situation. He looked like he was fine. It looked like his knee was completely blown out, honestly, on that play. I have no idea how he walked in and just came back and played again. That must be like, if he was like 34 instead of 24, he's not getting up from that one. But good for the Jaguars because they need him in the play because he's been having a pretty good season. I'll take the Titans to win this one. They're still contending. Jacksonville, not really. I think they'll just play with a bit more urgency. Though I realize that especially in this division, especially with teams like this, anything can happen at any time. But I'm gonna go Tennessee. Chiefs at the Broncos.
Man, the Broncos are so bad. That was actually a horrible game. I know Huntley pulled it out at the end, but that was a really bad game. And the Chiefs are coming off a loss also, but there is no doubt that the Chiefs are 50 times better than the Broncos. Even being in Denver, Russell still looks bad. I saw a couple plays where he ran a little bit, which is unusual for the way he's been playing. But there's no way this team gets going. Jerry Jeudy came back. He didn't look great at all. One good catch that I saw. I think the Chiefs put it back together, and this is a get-right game for them on the road. Yeah,
Chiefs will be frustrated after losing 3 in a row to the Bengals, right? How good that the division's punching bag is coming to town this week. Broncos, I mean, I'm not gonna pretend that I don't like to see this happen, because it's not a secret that I don't like Russell Wilson. And while I don't have anything particularly against the Broncos, I don't necessarily like them as a team. So yes, I like this. What's happening to Denver. This is good to see. It is really, really nice. And I'm hoping that Mahomes is gonna hit him with another uppercut here, as they just got served before. So. And they're playing a tough division too, by the way, of course, for the Broncos. But they were supposed to compete, and let's see if Mahomes makes another MVP statement here, puts his best foot forward, and puts 40 on the Broncos. Even though their defense actually is good, this is not like the biggest mismatch ever, because the Broncos have the historically bad offense. Their defense is top 10, maybe top 5, and the Chiefs are good at offense. So it's really gonna come down to, can the Broncos finally start scoring against a defense that is by no means elite? I don't think so. So Kansas City to win it. Panthers at the Seahawks.
Yeah, Geno saved that game. Geno won that game all on his own in the end, but the Seahawks didn't look great doing it. The Panthers coming off of a bye, I don't expect them to put anything together. Like we did say last week, maybe Sam Darnold coming off of a good game can finish out the season strong. So there's one little tick in their favor, but overall the team is really bad, and the Seahawks are still, decent, above mediocre, I will say, which I can't say that for the Panthers. Seahawks are at home. I expect the Seahawks to win this one.
I'm gonna say the Panthers get the 2-game bump from offloading Baker Mayfield off the team, and also let me introduce you to my Lord and Savior and inspiration to my just newly made up religion, Samuel Richard Darnold, who is going to come in and defeat the Seattle Seahawks in historic fashion. Because he looked good 2 weeks ago. Like, they on a bye week, but that was the best quarterback performance for the Panthers all year, and it was his first start after being injured for the whole first half of the season. So he came in. He looks like, he looks like he can do something. So I'm gonna pick Carolina. I know they're not favored. I know this is the risk I'm taking here, but Panthers to go and win at Seattle, and I want this to happen for so many different reasons. I can't not make that pick. Bucks at the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners. Brock Purdy actually looked a lot like Jimmy Garoppolo, as a matter of fact. It looked like Jimmy Garoppolo went out this game and they replaced him with Jimmy Garoppolo. They just changed his jersey, obviously. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. No one expected him to come in and play like that, but he did. So congratulations to you guys, the 49ers. That kind of team, this offense is built to win no matter what the players are. They're all interchangeable at this point. We can put anybody back there. The team is still going to perform how the team performs. Thinking about it, man, the 49ers absolutely remind me of the Bulldogs. Like, they're so similar in so many ways. I don't have time to run it all down here, but we'll talk about it later. The Bucks, on the other hand, pulled out a win over the lowly Saints. That was a horrible game also. They just have no offense to speak of. The teams have been putting up massive numbers on the Saints, and they mustered up 17 to barely get the win. Tom Brady's done. I will take your 49ers to win this one at home.
Oh yeah, let me paint the scenario for you, and this is important to understand. There's sort of breaking news at the time of recording this, is that the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo is not what it was initially expected to be. He will not require surgery, and he will not be placed on IR. He will be out for an estimated 6 to 8 weeks. Now let me paint you this scenario, right? It is February the 3rd, 2023, the year of our Lord. The Dolphins are set to play the 49ers in the Super Bowl because Brock Purdy blazed through the NFC in an unprecedented display, beating the Cowboys by 50 in Dallas, beating the Eagles by 20 in Philadelphia.
Jesus.
This is all like me filling out the fun bits of the theory, but the main point is rematch. Dolphins are mad obviously after this game and they want revenge. Brock Purdy's been looking pretty damn good. Jimmy Garoppolo on February the 3rd, 2023 gets cleared to return to the 49ers. Play his most likely final game. And it's Super Bowl week. What do you do? Who do you play? Do you start Brock Purdy? Pretend nothing's wrong, and then after halftime, Jimmy Garoppolo comes in with the steel chair, like WWE style, and ends up winning the game?
I'll tell you this. If Brock Purdy put up 50 on that Cowboys defense
in Dallas,
you cannot take him out.
Beat him by 50, not just 50. 50 by 50.
So they're he's putting up 70 on that Cowboys defense.
74-24 at Dallas.
Yeah, if that scenario played out, you do not take out Brock
Can't really
Purdy.
take him out, right?
Yeah, no. But that is an extremely long shot. I'll take that bet right now.
It is an extremely long shot, but we'll see. It's not completely over. This defense is phenomenal. This is the first team to legitimately slow down this Dolphins offense, and you can tell, like, just the pressure. Tua's been completely unaffected. This offense has been running all over everybody, passing all over everybody, I should have said. And this game, a lot of overthrows, a lot of drops, a lot of just miscommunication between quarterbacks and receivers, a lot of footballs flying through receivers' hands, and they're just rattled. They're shaken up, and their concentration was messed up. That's what this kind of defense can do to an offense. So, I think the Niners still have a serious chance to contend for the playoffs, especially if Seattle loses to Carolina, and if Brock Purdy plays the way we've seen him play for 3 quarters. They're not going to be that much worse off, even though Garoppolo was having probably his best season. But for this game, I'm going to go with the better quarterback. So Brock Purdy to beat the Bucks. Even though both of these are pretty good defenses, I will say this has the potential to be low scoring. Niners are playing at home, and Purdy's been the more convincing quarterback so far this season. So I'll take him.
I love
13.
it. I mean, it's a ludicrous statement, but I love the thinking that Brock Purdy is better than Tom Brady.
Well, we'll see on Sunday. We'll see on Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll see, because there's a good chance that's exactly what's going to happen.
And there's also a good chance that this is a 10-9 defensive battle also.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, the Niners playing at home, obviously, they're 3.5-point favorites. So even with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant,
wow,
this is still a toss. This is still a toss-up game against Tom Brady. That's how much
crazy.
they believe in this defense.
Yeah.
By the way, this is how much
the defense
they
and
believes.
the offense is plug and play. You know, it reminds me of how the Bulldogs are now. How the Alabama Tide has been in the past, where a guy goes down, it's just next man, get in there. We're still doing the exact same thing. We're still going to win by the same amount, no matter who goes out.
Even if it's a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty rare, but that's good to see. 2 games left. This one's probably the best, or at least my favorite for this week. Dolphins at the Chargers.
Yeah, this actually should be a get-right game for the Dolphins. Speaking of which, it's going to come down to if they are healthy. We saw Jalen Waddle get banged up. We saw Tua get banged up. Now, we don't know if Tua could have come back, because I don't think they even went back on the field after that. They had so little time of possession. The 49ers controlled the time of possession so much that the Dolphins just really weren't on the field enough to put up enough points. I don't think that's going to happen with the Chargers. The Chargers are not that kind of team, and the Chargers have been, I don't want to say a pushover, because yes, they do have a phenomenal quarterback, and they have an offense that can fire. They've just been misfiring lately. It's just not been the same. I think the Dolphins use this as a get-right game. I mean, it's weird to say, because they're not that big of a pushover, but they seem like it now. The Dolphins, if they're all healthy, they're going to go into LA and get right and take this one on the road.
So I'll also take Miami. As for the Chargers, I'll say this. Yeah, the offense has been struggling. A lot of injuries. The offensive line is Swiss cheese, and a lot of receivers have been sitting out. Justin Herbert's still playing phenomenally well, given the context. He's keeping this franchise afloat. I'm more so even disappointed by their defense, because looking at the acquisitions that were made earlier in the season. For the Chargers defense, you're looking at Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, all in the same defense. Those are 4 straight up all pros, Pro Bowlers with Hall of Fame potential. Okay, Bosa got hurt, J.C. Jackson not playing well. I don't know. It's underwhelming. Another underwhelming season for the Chargers, who should be in the playoff race, but they can't really decide if they want to be or not. This is a get-right game for both teams, because the Chargers have no business at all losing to the Raiders. So both teams kind of a must-win, looking at their divisional situations, which is why I think this is going to be such a great one. High-scoring game. I'm going to go with the more trusted team and pick the Dolphins to come back and do it, because the Chargers don't have that kind of defense. I think this is the one where they go off for 400 yards in the air again and go back to the old ways. So Dolphins to win it at LA. And then finally, Monday night, we have the Patriots and the Cardinals.
This is actually tough, because the Patriots haven't been living up to their reputation, and the Cardinals are just bad. They are coming off of a bye, and they are at home, so there's 2 ticks in the Cardinals' favor. The Patriots, man, the Patriots, a lot of people like to say this, analysts always say this, that they will find your biggest weapon and focus on that and shut it down. So who would they be going after in this? Are they going after Kyler, or are they going after Hopkins?
They're going after Hopkins.
Yeah, you would think. So that's probably going to leave Kyler to run a good bit in this game. This is really tough. I think this should be a pick 'em. I don't know what Vegas is saying, but I think this is going to be a close game, and I really don't know who to pick. I think I'll just go with the coach here and say the Patriots win this one on the road.
See, the theory to shutting down the Cardinals offense is really, really simple. It's maybe not easy to do in practice, but there's really two facets to it. You cover DeAndre Hopkins, take him away. Double cover him, take him away as a first option. Then you stop Kyler from running himself. That's it. If they beat you, if Kyler Murray beats you throwing the football, so be it. But that's not going to happen a whole lot.
No.
Because that's not what they are built to do. That's not what he's built to do. That's not what he is good at doing. So you covered DeAndre Hopkins because he can wreck you by himself. You stop Kyler from going off on the ground, and you dedicate maybe a spy on every single play. And then you make him beat you through the air, and that's not happening all that much. So to me, Bill Belichick will understand that kind of thing. Bill Belichick is phenomenal at figuring out these exact situations, exposing those weaknesses, and making offenses do what they don't want to do. And he's always able to generate an advantage doing that. I think he'll do the same against Arizona. Also, the Cardinals aren't Hard Knocks. I love to see every episode when they lose, like that game against the Chargers with the last second 2-point conversion. Phenomenal. Love it. Great to see. I get to relive every Cardinals loss twice this year, which is amazing. So hopefully, even though it's the Patriots, I'm still rooting for them just to deliver another iconic TV moment there. So Patriots to win at Arizona. That's all the games for this week. We have 6 teams on bye. Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, and Saints all glad to be on bye. And then the Washington Commies. Probably the only team who doesn't really want to be on bye. I think the others are all pretty happy about it.
I know the fantasy world is not happy about it, that's for sure. Because I wouldn't say most, I would say a great deal of fantasy leagues are starting the playoffs this week with 6 teams on bye.
Oh, that's bad timing.
Yeah, if you're in one of those leagues that does 2 weeks per round playoff, then they start this week. And unless you're in some weird league that wants to go to week 18 and nobody does, so yeah, that's horrible timing.
Yeah, that's bad timing.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if the NFL's been planning so much around fantasy now. It's like part of the official stats they mentioned on the official broadcasts all the time. Yeah. I'm surprised that they don't plan around this.
Yeah, exactly. And there was plenty of options. I mean, maybe it's dates on stadiums or something stood in the way, but there was plenty of options through the season to avoid this from happening. Like there's weeks where 2 teams were on bye.
Yeah, maybe or maybe they're thinking that they're thinking in this traditional sense that like the leagues that have single round playoff games, and so now they need to push in every team on bye so that there's no more bye weeks after next week or something.
Yeah, but they usually, on average seasons, don't go into week 14. They're not usually. I mean, I've seen seasons where 12 was the last of the bye weeks and 13 usually. Yeah. But
it's weird. It is weird, and 6 teams. Oh well. If you want to know more about fantasy, you should turn into the Hurry Up Offense, which is coming up tomorrow after the Scoreboard. And do you have any foreshadowing for this week's episode?
Yeah, definitely. I want to be talking about the playoffs, of course, because they're starting, or next week, or if you have the singles, that'll be in 2 weeks. But I want to talk about why you should keep playing, even if you're out of the playoffs. You may not be making it, but there is a good reason to continue playing your league. And we'll talk about that this week on the Hurry Up Offense.
I can come up with one reason, but I'm not sure if it's the one you're going to mention. I'm going to make sure to watch and see if that's actually what you're talking about. Maybe there's some hidden truth to it as well. But definitely,
I'm gonna guess you're talking about being spoiler for someone.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason. That's my reason.
That is one of them. There are others, but
there's others. Okay, there's probably some that are actually more relevant to the game part. So exactly. Definitely go check that out if you're interested in fantasy football on this channel. Subscribe to the channel as well to be notified when that comes out. You don't miss it. And also, you can cast your vote for the MVP. And it's getting into the final phase. We have 5 more weeks to play. And it's like the closest it's ever been all year, seemingly. But on the channel community page, there's a poll out every single week where you get to cast your vote for your favorite to be the NFL MVP. You can go ahead and vote there. Leave us a comment as well explaining what you picked. And I'm curious to see this week's results. It's been all over the place. We've had Josh Allen in the lead for quite a while. There were weeks when he was like an 80% majority. Then Tua suddenly took over for a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if this week it was like pretty equal. Like a perfect distribution. It's really difficult.
The recency bias takes hold. Somebody may want to put Hurts up there in the top.
Yeah, you can put him in top 5 for sure. Do you want to put him at 1? I wouldn't.
What I'm saying.
Probably like least likely.
I was listening to Around the NFL, and they are convinced that Tua is the front runner at this time. Hurts.
Hurts
is the front runner at that time.
Okay. Yes. Well, the team record definitely speaks for him.
Yeah.
Like he's one game away. Like say like this week, he plays out of his mind once again, and there's every chance he does. He looks great against the Giants. Entirely possible. Joe Burrow kind of mediocre. Jets shut down Josh Allen. He doesn't really go anywhere. By some miracle, the Broncos managed to slow down Patrick Mahomes in that offense. And Tua doesn't really get it going against the Chargers. Yeah, then you can easily have Hurts up there. I think each and every one of these 5 is like 1 week away from being the not clear, but the front runner, the favorite at this point. So that's gonna be very curious for me to watch. But please cast your vote. Let us know what you think. Drop us a like as well, and leave us your predictions for all these games in the comments of this video. And Smokey, do you have anything to add to this?
I think that's it for this week. Oh, I do have one more thing. I think it's time for Desmond Ridder when we come off of the bye.
Oh, do you think it's time?
Yes, I do.
Is it finally happening?
I mean, I'm sure Arthur feels like, we may still be in this now, but I don't see it happening. Like, Mariota is not going. Even if we were to squeak into the playoffs, we're not getting past the first round. No. Not with this offense. I mean, not without Kyle Pitts, not with Mariota at quarterback. I would like to see what Ridder can do. Who knows? Maybe he could help us squeak in there and actually win some games. I mean, we never know until we try.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Saints next week, so that's a win. That's a very winnable game. I would not give up on the playoff hopes quite that early, because you look at the Bucs, they have the Niners and then the Bengals in back-to-back weeks. You can make up some points there.
Maybe. But like I'm saying, with Mariota and this offense, we're not going to win past. I mean, we're not going to get past the wild card round. So,
but it would be a nice achievement making the playoffs. I don't know, going like 7-10 and somehow making it, which seems quite likely to happen at this point.
Yeah, that's a dumb record, but it wouldn't be the first time. I mean, of course, it would be the first time at 7-10, but there's been 7 and 9 teams make it before.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. That's true. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But other than that, everybody, thank you for watching, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Check.